All right, everybody, welcome back to the Heath Barn. Hope we're having a great day. It's been a week and a half, so got to get caught up on some stuff. I haven't really discussed the Cardinals since the season started, so this episode, initially I was going to talk about the Cardinals and then also talk about Illinois men's basketball program, transfer portal, all that good, crazy stuff, but got going on the Cardinals and just kept it there. So this episode is about the Cardinals. My thoughts on them roughly a month into the season, a little bit more. And next episode, I'll tackle Illinois men's basketball. So hope you enjoy this episode. Go Cards. Let's get some dubs and hit it. 14-17. Does that sound like a good record to anyone out there? In any sport? It's not. But let's stay positive, Cardinal fans. All right. I don't feel like it's like it was last year. So far, I feel like it's a little different because I'm going to be touching on lots of things with the Cardinals here. But I feel like this year, so far, I'll go over some of the things that I think are positives. Some of the positives are the Cardinals' defense. So far, they have one of the best defenses in baseball. I believe there's only two other teams in baseball that have more defensive runs saved at this moment. And this moment is May the 2nd, 2024. So, the defense has been much, much better than last year. That's a positive. That'll keep you in games. It's very important aspect of the game. Now, other things. I've even got my trusty computer here in front of me, but the pitching overall, like ERA-wise, is like 19th out of 30 teams in baseball. Now, that's not very good. But when you look at, let's start with the relief pitching. Okay. I'm looking down the line here. Ryan Helsley has been great as our closer. The roles seemed more defined this year, which is good. It's not all over the place like it was last year. JoJo has been great as well. 1.72 ERA. Helsley's ERA is 1.69. JoJo, I love JoJo. He's got kind of a defined role too, so it's very good. And JoJo came on strong last year at the end of the year, and he's just kind of carried it over to this year, and he's been great. So Andrew Kittredge has been great. 0.75 ERA. He's been outstanding in our setup role. So they've got kind of this thing going where it's JoJo, Kittredge, and then Helsley when we have the lead, when the Cardinals have the lead. So they've been great. They have been very, very good. Also, we're waiting on Middleton to get healthy. Hopefully that'll be soon. And that's another free agent we signed who should get right in that mix whenever he gets healthy. So that should just help the bullpen and make it even stronger. Liberatore, he's got a 2.76 ERA, so he's been fine. I'm not going to go through all the analytics and all the stats and things like that, but looks here like his opponent's batting average is 192 and a 2.76 ERA. That's good. So Liberatore's been fine out of the bullpen as well. And then you've got also Ryan Fernandez, who has been kind of a pleasant surprise. He's got a 2.92 ERA. He gave up a bomb in the Tigers game the other day, but it's never going to be perfect. His opponents are only hitting 182 off of him. Again, a 2.92 ERA. He's been good. He's been a good find. So he's been good. So the bullpen overall. Now, but what jacks up these stats early on in the season, because there's not a huge sample size, so if you go out and get rocked a couple times, not only will it blow up your ERA, but it'll blow up the team's ERA too. So, along those lines, Palante, down to Memphis, 6.30 ERA. He should be down there. He's not cutting it, was not cutting it. This guy right here I'm going to talk about was good for several years, but I think he is running out of gas. I think he was overused. I mean, I want to say overused. He was used a lot ever since we got him in the trade for Luke Voigt. And he did a really good job, but I feel like he was overused a little bit. Now he's just starting to, his arms just, he's kind of running out of gas, petering out. Giovanni Gallegos, his ERA is 9. Opponents are hitting 289 off of him. It's not good. It's not good. So I wonder if he's just running out of gas. They're talking about confidence and this and that, whatever, but he was used a lot. And I think that, he's not getting any younger, things like that. So I don't know if they can rely on him much at all moving forward, in my opinion. He was good for us for a few years. That trade at the time, I remember Luke Voigt went to New York and was hitting a bunch of bombs, and everybody was saying how bad that trade looked on the Cardinals' end. But when you look at it now, Mo did a good job with that one. And there was that lefty, was supposed to be the main guy in the trade, that Shreve. What was his name? I think his last name was Shreve. Lefty, kind of lanky lefty for us. And he ended up not working out. And Giovanni's the one that had a pivotal role in our bullpen for several years. So, good job, Giovanni, but I think he might be donezo. So, maybe he can turn around. Who knows? But I know you can't use him in any high leverage situations, and I know that you can't run him out there like as much as you have in the past, because I just don't. He's just again out of gas. Zach Thompson down to Memphis. Cardinals haven't done him any favors. Are you a starter? Are you a reliever? Blah blah blah. But at the same time, getting rocked. It's getting rocked. His ERA is 9.53. Opponents hitting 324 off of him. They sent him down to Memphis. I think that's a good thing to do. And his velocity was down too, which is odd. So I don't know what's going on with that. But yeah, I mean, he started there when Sonny Gray. I'll get to him in a minute. When Sonny Gray was hurt beginning of the year, Thompson got a couple of starts, and again, they've kind of jerked him around. Like he didn't pitch for 9 days, and you bring him in, but at the same time, you can't have an ERA over 9 and expect to stay in the bigs. You wouldn't think. So we'll see what happens with him. Maybe he'll get it all sorted out down in Memphis and come back, and who knows what'll happen. But for now, like I said, the bullpen, when it's this early in the season, you look more at individual stats than team stats, because the team stats, again, like a couple guys get rocked and it blows up your team ERA and everything like that. So there's definitely more positives out of the bullpen than negatives by quite a bit, like 2-1. For every guy that's struggled, there's been like 2 guys that have done a good job. So I feel like that is an improvement. And I'll get to Mo here a little later, but give him credit on that Kittredge trade so far, I should say, because he's fitting right in there in that setup role. So, and then you got Helsley. It's just like, it's kind of like the year before last, except for the game where Ollie, the moment got too big for him, and everybody in the stadium and everybody at home knew that he should have taken him out in that playoff game against the Phillies, but he left him in for us to lose. Besides that, like that season, when he was an all-star and he was our closer, he knew his role, and that's how it's been so far this year, and he's doing good, doing just fine. So, bullpen, doing fine. I'd give him like a B, maybe even like a B+ for most of them. So, now, the starting pitching, funny how the 3 guys, everybody was griping about Mo, and trust me, I've done my fair share of griping about Mo. I think that a lot of it is his personality. He comes off, in my opinion, as a little pompous. He can be a little condescending-ish, kind of that kind of a vibe, which is a turnoff to fans. And I also think, like, especially Cardinal fans, that even gets amplified, because I feel like we have a very knowledgeable fan base, and when he talks to you, like, it's almost like he's talking down to you sometimes. That rubs people the wrong way. I get that. But he said he was going to get 3 starters. And again, it's May 2nd. It's May 2nd. But who have our 3 best starters been? By far. The 3 that he went out and got. The ones that have been trash are the ones left over from last year. So, yeah, maybe, if anything, maybe he should have gotten, and that's what a lot of people were saying. Like, yeah, you got 3 starters, but they wanted 1 more. And I could see that too. That Dylan Cease in Chicago, they were wanting to trade him. And when you look at it now, it's like, man, we could have that would have been a nice thing to pull the trigger on there to have him in this mix. But let's look at the three guys that he went out and got. Sonny Gray started 4 games. His ERA is 1.16. He's got 32 strikeouts in 23 innings, and he's got 4 walks. He's been outstanding so far. Hopefully he keeps it up. Kyle Gibson, 2-2, 3.79 ERA. You take that ERA from him all day. Opponents hitting 215 against him. You take that ERA from Kyle Gibson. And that one game against Miami, I believe he gave up like 6 earned runs in the first inning, which is horrible, but he still recovered and pitched 6 innings that game. That's the kind of stuff that they did not have last year. Nothing even close to that. So even though he got rocked, he still preserved the bullpen to a certain extent. So I like him a lot. He's just kind of a grinder, old, wily veteran grinder. And he may, again, I don't necessarily think his ERA will stay that low all year, but at the same time, he's doing, he keeps you in ball games. Reminds me of kind of like I'm going to go way back to like 25 years. Like we picked up like Pat Hinkin from the Blue Jays. Got a little Suppan-ish vibe to him. Soup was amazing. I'm just saying doesn't throw super hard, but just kind of keeps you in the game, things like that. So I'm cool with Gibson so far. I think he's done just fine, exactly what we were hoping to get and expect out of him so far. Lance Lynn, 6 starts. He's only 1-0 because some weird stuff's happened. But ERA's 2.64. You take that all day as well. So those 3 that were not on the team last year are far and away our 3 best starting pitchers up to this point. And it's not even close. Now, the 2 holdovers, and I just love having Lance Lynn back, period. He's just burly. I'm not talking about Alec. He's a burly fella, and he goes out there, and he can be animated. He says what's on his mind. I just think that good teams having a guy like Lance Lynn, I think I'm just really happy he's back. Always liked him. Good dude. And now he's back, so I'm happy about that. Now, I'm happier if his ERA was like 6 right now. I'm not sure I'd be saying all that stuff, but so far he's doing fine. Those 3 guys that went out and got have been as advertised. What we were hoping for, all that. Unfortunately, we're still 3 games under 500 because of a lot of what I'm going to say about these 2 guys. Miles Michaelis, 5.68 ERA. Opponents hitting 301 against him. That's horrible. Is he done, folks? I don't know, but I know that, some of these stats, jeez Louise. Yeah, I don't know, but Michaelis, I like the guy, but I feel like, the Cardinals have relied on him too much ever since they signed him. He's had 2 good years out of, I think, 6, couple so-so, and then, he's been fine. But for the amount of money that they paid him compared to other guys, I feel like they have a little bit too much faith in him. And he's not getting any younger either. So the 5.68 ERA has got to come down and get better. And the 301 average against him has got to go way down as well. So hopefully he'll get better, but he's been off pretty, I shouldn't say awful, but pretty awful. And that leads me to Steven Matz. 1-2, 6 games started, 6.18 ERA. Opponents hitting .327 against him. That is garbage. So, not much else to say about it. He's getting an MRI. I guess his last start, his back was hurting. So why are you putting him out there, even though it's a doubleheader and you're short on pitching? Blah blah blah. Like, are you making him worse by sending him out there? And now he's getting MRIs. I have no idea. But ever since the Cardinals got him, he hasn't been able to stay healthy consistently at all. He's had a couple of good little runs, like 6, 7, 8 starts. Like last year, he finished up the season strong. This year, his first 2, 3 starts were pretty good, and he's just been horrible since. So, is it due to an injury? I don't know, but it seems like injuries with him are a thing. So, it's just that signing has not worked out at all to this point. But Yeah, Michaelis and Matt. So basically, 3 out of our 5 starters have been good. 2 have been bad. If we really want to put it in a nutshell. So now I will say this too. Back to Mo signing those 3. I've said this multiple times, but he catches a lot of heat, and again, it's kind of the way his delivery sometimes can be a big turnoff, but the stuff's not his fault. He can't come out and say, well, I want to get this guy, but the DeWitts won't let me because they don't want to spend that much money. He's not allowed to say that, but I'll bet you if he was, he'd be saying it all the time, because guarantee you, like, this all starts at the top. Anybody that wants to gripe about Mo, the majority of it's not his fault. The DeWitts don't want to pay for stuff. They don't want to pay. You know, Jordan Montgomery's just sitting out there. Put Jordan Montgomery with Gray and Gibson and Lynn. That's nice. That's a juicy little rotation there. But it was never going to happen because the DeWitts were never going to pay for it. So Mo's got to walk this fine line between talking about trying to be positive, going out and getting guys, talking about, and being upbeat about things, but also he can't come out and say, look, I get it, but they won't give me the money even though they're worth $4 billion. So my hands are tied. He can't come out and say that. But that's what's going on. So if you really want to gripe at somebody or have angst from this fan base, if you want to have a little angst towards, it should be about 75-80% should be directed at the owners, not at Mo. Okay? So, just had to get that out of the way there. I mean, there's nothing he can do about it. I mean, and he can try to, now that trade, like when you're trying to get a young pitcher or something like that, throwing Gorman into a deal, Donovan, stuff like that, that's another thing. And there are things that are infuriating, like like the injury deal, like Tommy Edman, we didn't hear anything about him being hurt. And then all of a sudden, bing! Oh, by the way, he had wrist surgery, like out of nowhere. And he's going to be your center fielder. And now we've got Ciani in center field, and nobody heard of him, including myself. Good defensive player, everyday center fielder? Absolutely not. Come on, man. So, just like in December, I did not have this written down. I'm going off on a little side thing here, but you can't just say, well, Edman's our center fielder, go out of your way to say and not trade him. And then all of a sudden, oh, by the way, he had wrist surgery, and I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I'll believe him playing again when I see it, because you don't hear anything about him. It's just crazy. So that is probably another reason the fan base gets aggravated. But that's not just Mo either. That's coming all the way down the line. I mean, it's just, but that's shady. How they tell the fan base about injuries, things like that. And speaking of injuries, Dylan Carlson's in Memphis now, finally playing. But these guys, man, all of them, Lars, Edman, not quite as much, but Carlson, Lars, you get a little nicked up, and it's like, see you in 2 months. And it was the same thing with Bader and O'Neill, although I don't even want to talk about O'Neill because he's destroying the baseball. Fun. But that's a whole nother pod. Like, why do these guys just tear it up as soon as we get rid of them? There's something, I don't know. Who knows? But O'Neill, though, I don't have any. I mean, he had to go. I wish we could have got a little bit more for him, but he had to. It was just it had run its course. But the fact that he's tearing it up right now, he did it for us in spurts. He did it in one season. What season would that have been? 2022, I believe. He got like 8th in the MVP voting, but he just couldn't come back and do anything after that. So, anywho, but yeah, Carlson, if he's in Memphis now, so he might be coming back up soon. But that leads me to the offense. Went over pitching. Obviously, the offense right now is ranked last in baseball. So there's your 14-17 record right there. Because, again, the pitching hasn't hurt us that much. The fielding is significantly improved. It's just the hitting. No bats. And that was like this whole offseason, there was never even a question like, well, we're not going to try to get any bats like in the offseason. Like, oh, we need pitching. The offense is fine. The offense is last in baseball. It's got to get better, but the fact that it's this bad is concerning. Looking at some of these, Contreras has been fine. He's the only one whose stats actually kind of, if these were his stats at the end of the year, like average, OBP, and slug, OPS, if they were that at the end of the year, you'd be cool with it, because he's got a 373 on base, 505 slug, 878 OPS. So those are good. Those are good numbers. And that's kind of where it stops, because then you get in Nolan Gorman. I'm just going down this list here. I don't like his body language sometimes either, but he's 190 average, 254 slug, or 254 on base, 352 slug. No bueno. 4 homers, 12 ribs, has struck out 38 times in 105 at bats. Yeah. Brendan Donovan, 222, 309 on base, 368 slug. That's like starting to slowly approach the ballpark where you'd like if all those would go up by 50 points, then you'd take that, all three of those. But Donovan, I'm not that worried about, because he's a ball player. He got 3 homers, 16 ribs. He's leading the team in RBIs. He's our leadoff hitter as I'm looking at this, so that's fun. But Donovan, I'm not concerned about nearly as much as Gorman. Herrera started out hot. Now he's down to 224, 277 on base, 379 slug, 3 homers, 9 ribs. You wonder about him, or at least I do. Like, is him not getting to play every day starting to affect him? Because, I mean, you don't want to stunt his growth. I think he's going to be a stud. But if he's only playing like twice a week, that's going to stunt his growth eventually. And I think it's already starting to, because he's not getting enough at bats for as young as he is. So he's a very, very talented kid. So he needs to either get plenty of at bats with the big club. I'm not saying send him to Memphis, but I am saying that, like, you don't want to stunt this kid's growth, because he's really good. And he started out hot when he was playing every day, and then now he's not. So everything's numbers are going down. So I think there's a correlation there. Alec Burleson, Burley, not the Burley Lance Lynn. Burley is his nickname. Burley is an adjective to describe Lance Lynn. Burleson, 271, 320 on base, 386 slug. So he's kind of in the ballpark where you'd like him to be. He's hit a little bit better lately. 2 homers, 10 ribs. Don't put him in the field, though. Let him DH, but so he's been one of the, compared to everybody else, he's been above average. Again, this is compared to everybody else. Goldie, got to get going. 230 average, 320 on base, 310 slugging. Obviously, you're looking for his slugging to be around 200 points higher than that. So, now he's a slow starter, and I'm not going to... He's my favorite. He's one of my favorite Cardinals we've had in recent memory. So I'm hoping he'll turn it around. Everybody's saying he's 36, going to be 37 this year. Obviously, that could play a small part in it, but at the same time, again, he's been a slow starter. So let's just let him play, and hopefully everything will turn around with that. Arenado, same kind of thing. Arenado's average and on base are about where, not far off from where you're used to. I mean, they're about, each of them are about 20 points lower than what you'd like. So he's 271 average, 333 on base, but the slugging's 347, and that's kind of the same thing I was saying with Goldie. You expect that to be 175 or so points higher. So than what, if we're going by what he's done in his career. So the fact that Goldie and Arenado have combined for 3 homers, that's not good. But again, they're like 2 of the best players at their position in the last generation. So let's just let them work through whatever they're working through, and hopefully they'll be where they need to be. Lars, 185, 293 on base, 308 slug, Not good enough. Not good enough. And then you get into Matt Carpenter, who got hurt early. And Brandon Crawford's 2 for 19. He should not. I mean, he's a good dude, and he's had a really good career, but let Mason Wynn play. Just let him play. Speaking of Mason Wynn, where is he on here? Oh, there we go. We got more to go here. So Brandon Crawford needs to just really only play if... And Jose Fermin, I'm not sure. He's not better than Crawford at this point, so I don't know. Crawford's just kind of there. Victor Scott was 5 for 59. I was hoping he'd come up and just tear it up, man. Everybody's wanting the next Vince Coleman, and so was I. I was going for that, but he's not ready yet. So he's down in Memphis hitting leadoff, and hopefully he'll come back soon. Or not? I don't even know if it's soon or not. Just come back and be. It'd be great for him to be the center fielder, everyday center fielder that can maybe be like an effective leadoff hitter, but he's just not there yet. Not good enough yet with the bat. Not too tall. Michael Ciani, 171. Unfortunately, I think that's about where he's probably going to be. He could have 500 at-bats, and that's probably what his average would be because he's just not a very good hitter. Good defensive player. Hell of a bunter. Smart player, everything like that, but just not enough with the stick. And now we get to probably the most disappointing player thus far, Jordan Walker, 155, 239 on base, 259 slug. Yipes. No homers, 4 ribs. So he is down in Memphis trying to work through some things. I feel like sometimes you just need to get rid of all the analytics and just look at the kid and be like, look, you're 6'6" and about 250. Like, you should be a monster. Just see ball, hit ball hard. Instead of, well, your front foot is about an inch and a half further this way, and your exit velocity and your launch angle, and sometimes you just gotta look at a kid and be like, look, you're a stud. You're extremely athletic and strong and talented. See ball, smash ball. It's not, don't overcomplicate things, especially with these young kids who've been really good their whole, growing up, and now all of a sudden you're trying to change stuff. His front foot, I am no batting instructor, obviously, but his front foot is to me, drives me nuts because it's always, it's like pointed towards, it's like he's got kind of a open stance, and he never, if he hits the ball to right field, his body is just turned the other way. He doesn't he opens up his hips too quick, and he rolls over on everything, and it's just, but I don't know if that's something in his head now or what, but to me, I'm just like, look, man, again, you're a monster. Just quit thinking about it so much and just hit the ball. Just rip it. So hopefully, again, he's still 21, so he's awful young. But I just think maybe, especially after last year, when he was had a very good rookie year after he came back up. So it's disappointing, but hopefully he can work it out. He's too good not to, I think. But pleasant surprise. Well, I'm not surprised, but Mason Wynn's been really good. 293 average, 368 on base, 390 slug. If those numbers were like that at the end of the year, you'd take him. I think eventually he'll have a lot more slug than that, but you take that on base and you take that batting average all day. And if he's going to hit 293 and have a 368 on base percentage, then I think he needs to be up at the top of the order, which I don't know if he'll do that this year or not, but I think it would be, I definitely think that's where he's going to end up at some point, but he's here, he's ready, he's good, so he just needs to keep on plugging. And again, I think he'll have some pop eventually too. So, so that's the offense. Now, it doesn't take a genius to figure that out. They are, the offense is what's causing the majority of the issues. So, if they can get going, I don't think you can just flip a switch and everybody get hot at the same time. But if right now you're the worst offense in baseball, if you can just get to being like a middle of the road offense, that'll help a lot. It's not good enough though. I mean, what's your ultimate goal? Is it to be over 500? Is it to be in the playoffs? Is it to win the World Series? It's definitely not to win the World Series from the DeWitt standpoint. They just want to, hold on to their money and give the, do the, not the minimum exact, or like the absolute minimum possible to compete, but they also don't want to open up the wallet too much. So I think that if the offense can get going, I mean, I think they have a chance. They can get back in the division and compete in the division. Milwaukee's doing good. Chicago's doing good. Reds are 16-15. So, it's a long season, but if the offense, if it's a month from now and the offense is still like this, then I think Turner Ward's seat will be extremely hot because he is the hitting coach. So, did you notice I talked about all that and didn't really gripe about Ollie the whole time? It's impressive. I just think I don't know. I mean, I don't know how I feel about him. I know that Skip's contract's up after this year, and Yachty's supposed to be a part of it right now, but he hasn't showed up once. So I don't trust. I don't know. But between the disappearing acts that Yachty had his last season with us, and him signing a contract to be like Mo's help, and he hasn't shown up one time, you can't really trust him right now. So, you got Descalzo in there as the bench coach. I like him. You got Skip, who's going to be a free agent. I just feel like with Ollie, again, going back to that playoff game against Philly, game 1 in 2022, when Albert and Yachty were both there still, and Helsley comes in, obviously doesn't have it, obviously does not have it, and Ollie, instead of getting him out of the game, just leaves him out there to walk guys, give up hits, and we end up losing that game, lose the next one, and that's just straight up the moment getting too big for you. As soon as you got to win that game, it's the playoffs. It's the playoffs. So if you see a guy didn't have it, you got to get him out right away, and everybody knew it, and Ollie just sat there and watched it all happen. So that was kind of my first thing. Like, oh man, I don't think I trust him. And then last year obviously was a complete debacle. So you can see where Ollie would be. His approval rating among the fan base would not be very high. So this year, I don't know. I mean, he can't go up there and hit for him, and he couldn't hit when he was in the minors, so he's not going to do that anyway. But yeah, I don't know. Time will tell with all that. Those are my thoughts on the Cardinals. So we're looking at 14-17. Got a series coming up with the White Sox. Hopefully, now there's two ways to look at this. Cardinals got to be like from the Cardinals fan base. If let's say the Cardinals win 2 out of 3, you're gonna have Cardinal fans be like, couldn't even sweep the White Sox. Okay, but there's 2 teams playing, and from the White Sox standpoint, it's just like, man, we have been terrible this year. Come on, man, we got to turn around. So there's 2 teams playing, and there's 2 perspectives to look at. White Sox got to be like, man, surely we're better than this, and maybe they get one, So who knows what'll happen? But and also the Cardinals haven't had any. Well, they played Milwaukee, but that's it. Those are the only division games they've had. They haven't won a game against the Central yet this year, which is crazy, but that's just the schedule being messed up. There's a lot of games with the NL Central against the NL Central here coming up this month, so know a lot more at the end of May. But those are my thoughts on the Cardinals. I also have thoughts on Illinois and their transfer portal and their situation right now. But this one, I think, went a little longer than I thought it was going to. So I think I'll just cut this off here and crank out the Illinois one on the next episode. So I'd like to thank you very much for listening. Again, first one in a week and a half. We'll get back on the Monday, Thursday schedule soon, but busy stuff going on around here. So crank this one out today. I'll probably do the Illinois one again today too, but doubt I put it out until Monday probably. So thank you very much for listening to this episode, and that's that.